Hello, everybody, and welcome to Norm, the Cheers podcast that is so thankful you're here. We are coming back off a little Thanksgiving break. It's me, it's Tookie, it's Dave. Tookie is fresh back from her tour of the Far East. It is so good to have her back. Dave is back from his tour of the east side of Providence. I have been eating Chinese food, and that's kind of as much exploring as I have done. But it's great to be back. It's great to have you here. We're going to be talking about the greatest live-action sitcom of all time, Cheers, and not its greatest episode ever, Season 5, Episode 7, Young Dr. Weinstein. I'm not saying it's bad.
No, definitely not its worst episode.
No, not the worst. Just, boy, it doesn't stick to your ribs, does it?
It's aggressively mid.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very much like to the point where I didn't remember if I had watched it or not before I rewatched it today. And it's interesting because this episode I remember very well. Like, I remember Dr. Julian Weinstein. I remembered that the restaurant was named the Cafe. I remembered Fricadelle Mood. Like, I remembered a lot of this, and I remembered enjoying it more when I had seen it before. And usually when I remember enjoying an episode of Cheers a lot, I watch it again and I'm like, yes, I remember this. And this time I watched it and I just kind of went, huh.
No, I can attest to the fact that you didn't remember, because I think you messaged us like, is this the one?
Yeah. Like, to the point where I'm like, did we already talk about this one? I really didn't remember.
Yeah, sometimes you can really see the logic in a 12 episode season of a sitcom versus like a 22 episode. Sometimes you just got to throw out a young Dr. Weinstein and get to next week.
It's such an interesting season because honestly, there have been some bangers up until now, some really good episodes, and I've been enjoying it a lot. But you can tell that, yeah, they're stretching. Like, they want to get Sam and Diane together, but they feel like there's only so many episodes of that they can do before they write off Diane. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like this week, and I'm going to be really honest with you, I feel like we got another one coming up next week with Knights of the Scimitar, where I'm like, all right, they are filling time. All right, they're doing some covers. They're playing some of the songs that made them want to become musicians. You know what I'm saying? It feels like we're in a little stretch of that here in season 5.
And I tend to not mind like some aggressively mid Cheers. Mm-hmm. It is like, it's like, you know, eating some, it's just like crackers. It's like, oh, I like these, and then they're gone and you don't remember eating them. But, you know, it wasn't a terrible experience while it happened.
Mm-hmm. No. I think, I remember some better jokes in this one because we've had definitely some episodes that are filling time. They're covering time, but they're episodes with really well-written jokes. And even though, like, nothing's changing in the world, you're laughing during it. Like, in Tan and Wash, nothing was really changing, but I enjoyed it. There were good jokes inside of that. This one, I'm just feeling like, as I rewatched it, I'm going, huh. I feel like everyone was a little tired.
I feel less guilty for not having joke of the week now. Yeah.
I mean, I wrote down joke of the week because it's not like I did not laugh at all, but yeah. And this is also the episode where, I mean, we're just going to have to deal with it. I almost want to deal with it up front. Did Sam leave a $1.73 tip for that waiter?
Brutal.
Like, I know you have that there for the joke, but it's a $200 bill. We know he couldn't leave anything on a credit card. That's what Sam left. This is haunting me. I watched it a second time and I'm going, and that guy had the balls to come back in for a second meal?
Right.
After tipping $1.73? What the hell? What happened? Oh, Sam. Oh, Sam. I'm really, like, that joke was not worth making Sam that bad a tipper.
No.
Good Lord. Whew. Yeah, I feel like that didn't bother me as a child because I didn't understand tipping. Now I'm like, holy shit. I would never, even if I just didn't have the money, I would never come back in until I had the money to tip that person.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'd have to move.
I mean,
you have no other choice. You have to leave the city.
State.
Yeah. Really unfortunate stereotypes.
You really
about
need
doctors.
to leave New England. Yeah, like you can't go to Rhode Island. No. Yeah.
Are you schwitzing, Mike?
It's haunting me.
You're schwitzing thinking about this.
It really does. It was like, oh my God, my skin's crawling. Like I really obsess about being a good tipper all the time. Like it really it bothers me. Yeah. I like Ted Danson so much. I don't want to associate not tipping with Ted Danson because I feel like Ted Danson's a good tipper. I feel like Ted Danson is a good tipper. I don't know why. I feel like he's a good tipper.
Know who is? Oh, go ahead.
He's the anti-James Corden.
Oh.
I was gonna say it just seems like Ted Danson seems to be like self-aware enough of like I'm aware that I am a recognizable public figure and I'm going to make sure that I've almost stepped in it once and I'm not going to step in it again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I loved Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. So I don't know if you've seen all the episodes, but he did one with Sarah Jessica Parker. And they're out and they're getting the bill back. And he asks her like what she's going to tip. And she said 20%. He said 20%. She's like, what? No good? He's like, this server is going to tell all their friends that they waited on us today. What do you think is the first question they're going to be asked? Do you want her to respond 20%? And I'm like, yes, Jerry Seinfeld. Yes, absolutely. He knows. He's like, and even if he's not doing it for the right reason, if he's only doing it because he knows people will ask and he knows that no one wants to know that a billionaire left 20% in a diner. So yeah, what do you think Jerry Seinfeld leaves? Is he leaving 50%, 100?
At least 50.
I think at least 50%.
Yeah. Or like, if he's just, if it's a diner bill, is he just dropping like a $50 bill on the table and walking out?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Notoriously good tipper, big tipper. Although I don't know if it's for image or just purely altruistic reasons. Shaq. Shaq has been known to leave a wad or two if he's out and about. Yeah. And he just randomly helps people. Yeah. It's nice.
Shaq is fun. It's interesting. I'm honestly enjoying post-career Shaq more than I enjoyed basketball Shaq.
Hard agree.
Yeah, like really loving this section of Shaq's life. And he's one of the few people I really feel like I like him more since the internet has come about. Like it's his chance for all these little stories to come out, and he tells fun stories about himself. Just like going to Walmart and having American Express call to make sure that someone hadn't stolen his American Express card. I like that. Like when he got traded to Phoenix, he's like, I don't have anything. I need my TVs. I need everything. He's like, he goes to Walmart and like spends like tens of thousands of dollars at Walmart and they're not taking it. And he's like, I know, I pay my bills. And they call him and said, somebody's trying to spend $50,000 on your card at Walmart. He's like, yeah, that's me.
Love that.
That's me.
Love that. Also, good on him for recognizing his shortcomings as a husband. Yeah,
I was just thinking about that.
Yeah.
Are you thinking about? I remember the interview he did where he's like, "I'm alone in a 30,000 square foot house. I know I've made mistakes."
Yeah, because you don't.
I might be misquoting.
Well, either way, you don't often see that kind of hubris, especially from a bajillionaire athlete.
Yeah.
Who's so in the spotlight, limelight, well respected, in the pantheon of greatness, not free throw wise, but just greatness as Shaq.
If there was ever a man who needed the underhanded free throw, it was Shaq. He never would have done it. Malcolm Gladwell, an extremely there's weirdness with Malcolm Gladwell's shit. I get it. But he did a revisionist history podcast about the underhand free throw. That was one of my favorite things ever.
That was a good, I did listen to that with Rick Barry, and that was a good episode.
Yep, the Rick Barry one. I never knew that like Wilt did one season underhand and set his personal record for best free throw percentage, and then he stopped. It was a really interesting window into like how men view themselves and how important it is how they think other people see them. It was such a bummer. Like I felt bad for Wilt afterwards, where he was like, he could have done that. And what would his career have been like if he hadn't been worried about how people were looking at him? If society was a little bit different and he didn't feel like he had to worry about that, and suddenly that guy was a 70% free throw shooter his entire career. How does that, like, everything changes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Dramatically. If you couldn't have, hacked him and put him on the line and counted on him missing 50% of them, got to be a few more titles, got to be a few more rings on Wilt's fingers, right?
And this is why basketball remains undefeated, because the psychological connection between character and performance is laid bare on a regular basis, and it's unbelievably compelling. I try to explain it to my family, and they don't listen. So I'm down here every night, league pass till 1:00 in the morning, plumbing the foibles of mankind. I'm just glad I have an outlet with you guys.
Yes, thank God.
We're here for you.
Thank God. There's a clip of Bill Russell going around the interwebs that I absolutely loved, because it's Bill Russell, it's Bill and Wilt getting interviewed and talking about who had the better teammates. And I love that Bill will never stop. Like, he'll never do that moment of like, well, I had the better team, or like you can tell he loved Wilt, but he will not let Wilt get away with any of that shit or anyone. He said, look, I had great teammates. I made my teammates better. I made everyone who played with me and for me better. Like, that doesn't just happen. People don't just get better. He said, Don Nelson came to us and he couldn't rebound. And, he was all up in his head and he was worried about what he couldn't do because he was a big man, supposed to rebound. And I said, Don, I've got the rebounds. You score. And now he's got he said, and we retired his number. Like, he did everything I asked him to do, and I didn't ask him to do something he couldn't do. And I did that. Like, I fucking love Bill Russell. Like, I just want to, if we stop doing this after Shelley Long, we should just make this a Bill Russell podcast.
I'm okay with that.
Because he's a man who never believed in false humility, and yet somehow never came across as like, fuck that guy. It was, I'm owning all the great decisions I made, and I'm not embarrassed by it. I'm not downplaying any of them. Yes, these guys were great. I made them better. I knew that about myself. I knew how to do that. And I'm owning it, and it's part of why I'm awesome. And he was never afraid to be that guy. I love that guy.
100%.
Is it weird that even though he was well into his 80s, I still feel like he was gone too soon?
Yeah. Yeah. There was never going to be a time where we lost Bill Russell where you were like, that was enough Bill Russell.
It's because he still had, if not the fastball, he was at least still firing on all cylinders. Like still like a great quote, still like a vibrant public figure, like just somebody you were always excited to see out and about and like hope to hear from. And was never going to, you also knew he was never going to be anodyne about anything. Like, if he was going to talk, he was going to talk.
He had no fear. And he was as sharp as ever until his body was failing him. His mind was never, ever failing him. And he was still funny. Like, anytime he got around everybody, he was like the only guy who never cowered to Jordan, who would go up to Jordan. He did that speech where all the great centers were on stage, and he looked at it and said, I'll still kick all your asses. Always. He feared nobody. God, he was great. I need something Bill Russell for Christmas. Jen has asked me what I want for Christmas. And I feel like I want something Bill Russell, but I don't know what it is.
Ooh.
Yeah. I'm like,
marinate on that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's something Bill Russell. I don't know if it's a poster, artwork, a jersey, just something, but I need some more Bill Russell in my life than I have right now. I don't know what it is. Yeah.
We'll think about it.
I'm working through a biography, so I'll tell you if that's a viable option.
Let me know if it's good. Let me know if I'm still working on Boomtown. I don't know why. I'm taking forever to get through it. I pick it up, I put it down. It's never. You ever have a book that you enjoy and yet somehow you're like, oh, been 4 weeks since I touched this book.
Yep.
And then you read and you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to finish this. What is it? Yeah, Loose Balls. Yeah.
I am still, you know what? I love it. I love that book. And yet the span at which, like the pace at which I've been reading it is just not acceptable in terms of book readery. Mm-hmm. I love it. I love it. And yet why is it that a month will pass by between chapters?
There's something about a book that, especially a book that is recounting history, where it's like, all right, we can get off the bus at any time and then we'll pick it up at any time. And it's still the same book. You know what I mean? When you're reading a mystery, when you're reading something that's a thriller, a compelling narrative, and you feel like, oh my God, I'm like, this car is not stopping. You feel like you got to keep reading. Mm-hmm. And especially that with Loose Balls, with Boomtown, with, I was reading my middle-aged dad book, Man on the Moon. Like whenever you're reading this stuff, especially historical stuff, and you ultimately, what happens and you're just kind of figuring out how it happened, there isn't that push to get to an end because there isn't a big reveal, a big surprise. Mm. There's not like, I got to know how this turns out. I know how it turns out. It's how we get there. And I can take as much time as I need to get there. Says the guy with less life ahead of him than behind him. I got tons of time. No problem. It's fine. It's fine. All right, we need to talk Cheers. Dave, what was happening when Julian Weinstein conned his way into the cafe?
So this premiered, I believe, on November 13th, 1986. That same night, then President Reagan appeared in front of a live broadcaster, presented a live broadcast to admit his role in the Iran-Contra affair. Fun. I don't think the Contra part. I don't think he acknowledged. I don't think that had come out yet. But he definitely did admit to selling arms to Iran under the auspices of attempting to bridge a connection with a new regime there and potentially bring home American hostages. That was the story we were told, and he was sticking to it. Boy, I did a little reading about it this morning, and I am not qualified to talk too much about it, but I forgot what a shit show the Iran-Contra affair was. Mm-hmm. Definitely worth a rabbit hole if you're feeling like things were better government-wise in 1986 and more like people were more sort of upfront. Yeah, just check out that Wikipedia page and you'll feel just as terrible about then as now.
Well, Iran-Contra was tough, but at least everyone involved in it owned up to it and really paid a heavy price. And justice was absolutely done, and no one got away with fucking murder pretending that they just didn't remember what happened during Iran-Contra. Thank goodness. Those fuckers. I'm being completely sarcastic.
Here's the thing I didn't know.
It's insane how few people paid for Iran-Contra. Insane how huge that scandal was. And like 2 guys got in trouble. It's incredible. Incredible.
A weird angle that I never knew was that it kind of got its genesis as Reagan was coming out of recovering from colorectal cancer surgery, mm-hmm. Which was like obviously a miserable procedure. He was 74 at the time. Like, he was just in incredible discomfort, and probably on some level buys him some like a little bit of plausible deniability, because there's a pretty good chance that conversations were had that at the time that he had no recollection of pretty soon thereafter.
No, he was already experiencing Alzheimer's at that point. If you ever watch the documentary on Showtime about him, his kids admit that. We're like, look, just how we know Alzheimer's works. He had to have been experiencing the early symptoms of it. And multiple people have talked about how completely disconnected he was during his second term. He just hung around the White House and watched movies. And they wrote speeches for him, and he delivered them well, and that's what he did. So everyone who's worried about a second term of Biden, we've been through worse.
You know what? I'm not going to say that he was terrible enough to deserve certain things because I value our sponsors.
I understand.
Shout out to Casper Mattresses. But just know that I'm thinking it.
There you go. There you go. All right. Tookie, what happened in this week's Cold Open?
Yeah, cold open time. Short-ish and sweet, but not so sweet. We'll get into it. So we've got the intro where a couple is sitting at the bar and they're about to close out their tab. And the woman says, oh, why don't you wait right here? I'll go get our coats. And Carla passes by and she's, oh, here's your receipt. Hope to see you again. Just very blasé about it. And the guy takes the receipt and just kind of squints up and is, great. I can't even read that check. And Carla overhears this and turns around and says, well, I am so sorry if my handwriting isn't up to your high and mighty standards, but some of us don't get to sit around and practice their penmanship while some of us have to go out and earn a living. And the woman returns and says, oh, here are your glasses, dear. You left them in your coat again. And Carla has this like slow realization. Her face gets very pale and she's like, oh, and the guy is kind of glaring at her a little bit. The wife says, oh, what's wrong? And the man says, nothing. Let's just go. And Carla's like, hey, I'm really sorry. I don't know what to say, except I had a really bad day. And she just kind of sits defeated. And she's like, yeah, sure, Carla, bad day. I mean, this is all self-monologue, but sure, bad day, bad life is more like a house full of kids, crummy job. And if I keep treating my customers this way, I'm going to lose even that. And the guy and the couple just kind of has like oh no, just the white guilt of it all. And he hands her some money. Here you go. I hope things start looking up. And she's like, oh, Carla's like, oh, no, not the way I treated you. And they say, oh, we insist. And they leave. And Carla looks it up, unfurls the bill, like, oh, $10. Whew, right? And so she goes off to do whatever other business she has until another customer stops her. And it's a guy sitting and he goes, oh, excuse me, miss, you forgot to give me a napkin. And Carla seizes the opportunity. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know what to say except I had a really bad day. Bad life. It just sits down, gives them the same spiel, roll credits.
Yeah, it was fine. It's like it's kind of like the rest of the episode where I'm going, is she going to get that upset about handwriting? Like, I know it's Carla, but she's going to get offended that someone can't read her handwriting. I feel like that happens to everybody all the time. Whenever somebody can't have their handwriting read, they're like, oh, yeah, here's what it says. Like, who's ever been offended by that? It's such a random thing. I know it kind of spurred the joke of, all right, well, this is what's going to get it, but I don't know. All right. Anyway.
Thin premise. Thin.
All right. A and B story this week. The B story is Woody Boyd wants to create a drink that is going to be remembered. He wants to create something wholly original, name it after himself somehow, and get in the bartender's almanac, and it's going to be very exciting. He starts with a Blue Boyd of Happiness, which I enjoyed the name of very much. Turns out that's a Blue Moon. This is also, he asked Sam to taste it. Now he found out that Sam is an alcoholic. And yeah, we are reminded again, like, it's funny that Sam will every 2 years mention that he was once married, but it's never really much of a point. It's just sort of thrown in and then forgotten again for another few years. It's very random. Woody is testing drinks the whole time. Some of them are gross. Some of them are awful. Finally, at the end, he comes up with something delicious. Everyone loves it, and he cannot remember the ingredients. And that's the B story. They just needed something for poor Woody to do. The A story, Diane, who's apparently still dating, even though she's convinced she's going to marry Sam. I feel bad for Mr. Brundage.
Yeah.
Because, just being used for his connections to get her into this dinner restaurant. Like, I didn't like anybody this episode. I think that's one of the things that bothered me about this episode. I felt bad for Brundage. I felt bad for everybody. And what doctor is famous enough to get you into a restaurant? Like, what? Name a famous doctor right now who's not Dr. J.
Kevorkian. That's all I got.
Thank you. My point exactly. Phil is just famous for having a shitty talk show. By the way, I love Oprah Winfrey, but how many more ghouls is she going to inflict upon the world without apologizing for it? Ugh, these scumbags. Hi, Dr. Oz. Anyway, so Mr. Brundage has gotten them a reservation for that night at the Cafe, which is the most exclusive restaurant in all of Boston. And Sam is saying, "Oh, maybe we'll go there. We're not sure if we're in the mood for chili or a burger." And I'm like, "What the fuck? You're going out on a date and you're like, what do you think, burger or chili?" Ugh. Well, those aren't really served at different places. Any chili place is also going to have burgers. So you're not trying to decide between those two restaurants. Like, what was there one person writing this week that got really tired? Like, all right, we're deciding between Chinese or Italian. Maybe we'll try this place. We're looking for something new. We're not sure if we're in the mood for. We're trying to decide between chili and another food that's exactly like chili. The fuck? I'm sorry. I didn't realize this week bothered me as much as it did. Apparently it did.
Like, to be as confident romantically as Sam is to say, like, let's go out and have chili and then see where the night takes us.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
What lunatic does that?
Swipe left, automatic swipe left.
My God. Hey, you want to go get some condiments? What is happening with Sam in this episode? And he's dressed like Mr. Rogers on a fancy night. It's really weird. It's all weird. So he's talking about getting reservations. She makes fun of Sam for it in a really mean, belittling way. So he tries to use his Red Sox poll to get a reservation, gets turned down flat, has to wait until March. So then he calls back, cancels the Brundage reservation, immediately calls back, like that's not going to be obvious, with the same exact voice, by the way, saying, "Hi, have you had a sudden cancellation?" Who thinks it's going to work? Give me something clever. Still gets turned down. Frazier says his good friend, Dr. Julian Weinstein, can get them in. He calls Dr. Julian Weinstein. Of course, Julian Weinstein does not remember him. And then, again, lazy writing, like Dr. Crane, Frazier Crane, C-R-A. How many different ways are there to spell Crane? What name is that mistaken for, that you have to spell it? That's a lazy joke. C-R-A. And God bless Kelsey Grammer. He delivers it well. But what are we doing? All right. Cut to the cafe.
Frustrating episode.
I didn't realize it until I started remembering it again. Like, I was just kind of like, this week's a week. And now I'm like, wow, this is really, maybe I'm getting mixed up in Iran-Contra feelings. I don't know.
No,
but they go to the.
I think you're. I mean, I think if the snooty maitre d' is the most likable character in an episode, you might have an issue.
Yeah, we got problems.
A little bit.
We're rooting for a guy named Brundage. This is a tough episode. So they're at the cafe. They find out that the reservation has gotten canceled. And then they hear, "Dr. Weinstein, will you follow me, please?" And it's Sam and his date. Sam is pretending to be Dr. Julian Weinstein. All right, go to commercial. Come back from commercial. Diane is furious. They're saying, maybe we'll be able to seat you and Mr. Brundage tonight. So they're waiting. Diane keeps going in, accusing them of, doing terrible things. The worst part of it is when she rushes in saying, "Oh my God, there's a medical emergency. Dr. Weinstein, can you help me?" The other doctor tries to jump in and says, no, I want the world famous Dr. Julian Weinstein. And Sam is panicky, like he actually has to be a doctor. Just get up and pretend. You know it's Diane. You know this is fake. This helps you sell being Dr. Weinstein. Just be like, "Oh, yes, right away, miss." Because no one's hurt. She's not going to come to Sam if someone's actually sick. Just go. What's happening? And then the chef knows him, and "You didn't hear about my accident. Oh, the plastic surgery." No, even in a sitcom, no one's buying this. What is happening? What are you doing? Where are we? All right. Then They pay for their meal. Sam absolutely shafts the server, comes out feeling bad. Mr. Brundage is left to go and get some KFC, which is apparently directly across the street from the nicest restaurant in Boston. I mean, I'll maybe buy that. Like, I'm thinking about Ruth's Chris at the Old State House, and that's not far from fast food. So I'm like, all right, maybe. Maybe I can accept this. So he goes to get KFC. She's just standing there, sleeping, starving in the waiting room. She's not going to get seated. Then Sam, as Dr. Weinstein says, it would really be a great favor to me and really the entire medical community if this woman could get seated. She goes in. They've barely got anything left. She eats fricadelle something. Somehow Shelley Long delivers fricadelle in a way that is really funny and is my joke of the week. I'm in a fricadelle mood.
Yep.
That is funny. Sam comes back in because he's feeling bad, but just pretends to only be hungry. Comes in, says, no, we're going to pay you. See how sweet you think it is when I have you pay for your own meal. She's saying it's sweet. And then the bill comes. He has not thought about the fact that he does not have any more money. She pays for her own meal. He's asking for her to help. And then I'm mad at Diane again because she's like, I think it's very good that we did this. And okay, bye, Sam. I already paid for my meal. Because you know what, Diane? Again, the waiter's getting shafted. People are getting screwed. Even if you don't want to be nice to Sam, who did make sure that you ate after you belittled the hell out of him, whatever you think of that, you got to pay just so that the waiter doesn't get shafted, okay? Like, pony up. Sam tries to give his credit card, which says Sam Malone. He says, oh, yes, I must have exchanged it with the club. Can I give you a check? Whose name would be on that? What's that over there? Runs out. And, yeah, Dr. Julian Weinstein is never heard from again. That's this week's episode. Wow. I had feelings about that.
I have to say, like, I didn't like the look of the restaurant.
Mm-mm.
No, and it's like, I know it's 80s style, but couldn't you make it look a little better?
I mean, when I think about the Italian restaurant that Diane and Frasier go to in season 3, or 4, I forget which. But that, like, that's beautiful and like the table's luxurious and like, yeah, this looks so. The show does kind of struggle. I still feel like whenever they leave the bar is so good, and then
Melville's is lovely though.
Melville's is nice. But although we haven't been up
Melville's
in Melville's
looks
yet.
like perhaps not, but when they do it, it looks nice. When the restaurant that they went to when Beth came to visit Woody was a very nice looking restaurant. That looked like a place I wanted to go.
You're right.
This really just felt like they cleaned out a video store set and put chairs and tables into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, people were on vacation this week. I don't know. No one cared. This was a car made on a Friday afternoon. This thing's breaking down.
Again, aggressively mid.
Yeah. All right, let's start going through some categories here. I did my joke of the week. Dave, what's your joke of the week?
I'm gonna go with Woody's. I actually really did like the B story as thin and as it was. I thought it was well done.
They're charming people, yes.
Yeah, and it was fun and like that generally made me laugh. So I'm just gonna go with Woody starting to cry after he realized he didn't remember what went into his drink. That was a wonderful kind of cry face.
Well done, dream dying moment. Tookie, your joke of the week.
I didn't have one.
Nothing made you laugh this week?
Wow.
No.
Oof.
I know. Brutal. Tough. I know. But it just, you know, as I've been saying throughout, this was an aggressively mid episode. It wasn't bad, but I didn't even get a ha-ha out of it.
Wow.
Yeah. It felt like I just knew what was coming each time.
Yeah. All right. I won't force you.
This is stunning. This is the first vacant joke of the week, I feel like, from any of us. And it's a powerful statement.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's the first empty one.
Yeah.
No one's going to Cooperstown this week. All right. All right. Dave, well, what was your 80s thing of the week?
I mean, that phone is incredible. that phone they bring to the table with the.
Mm.
We had that phone. I love that phone. I knew it. I was more excited by the sight of that phone than I was by almost anything else in this episode.
Yeah, great phone. My 80s thing is impersonating people. That used to be so easy. Like you just say you're Dr. Julian Weinstein. Oh, all right, great. Today, if someone called saying they were Dr. Julian Weinstein and they were that excited about him coming, they'd be Googling him. They'd be looking up all the articles about him. They'd go, ooh, Julian Weinstein's coming. You can't impersonate anybody anymore. Kind of a bummer. Kind of a bummer. Tookie, your 80s things, please.
A couple things leapt out at me. So practicing penmanship. The kids don't really do that.
No, it's still happening.
I mean, but not for the same purpose. Like you practice your writing, you practice your penmanship, but it's not something that you're looking forward to utilizing out in the world, in the field.
I don't know if I was ever looking forward to utilizing it.
Yeah, true. Fair enough.
I do know my boy's going through the penmanship and not enjoying it in the same way Dad did.
My condolences.
Making those Ks.
Ugh.
You got to do the little loop when you're still in elementary school.
I hope that his signature is a boss-ass signature someday. I hope it's all worth it. Truly.
You and me both.
Yeah. So practicing penmanship leapt out at me. The look of that $10 bill. Blue cocktail. Because like Seagrams and wine coolers were very like colorful alcohol was a very of its time kind of thing. And mixology being a hot thing in general, because wasn't the Cocktail movie with Tom Cruise out recently at some point or another?
I think 89.
that was that 89? I thought that was before Rain Man, which was 88.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
I want to say Cocktail is 86, 87.
Okay.
88.
88?
88.
Okay. Because I know at one point, mixology kind of blew up as a side hobby in the 80s. The other thing that leapt out of me, we went to prep school together. Prep school isn't as much of a point of pride these days as it was. And it was very much like a trope that if a character fits into certain archetypes, then they definitely were a prep school kid. That phone definitely leapt out at me. And snooty hosts in general, I feel like it really capped off. I think Tim Curry did it the best, and no one's really been able to top Tim Curry's portrayal of the ultimate snooty concierge, maitre d', all of that.
Nice.
He is kind of the, I think he should retire, the snooty
maitre
d'.
Oh,
Tim Curry. Magnificent. Tookie, how white was this week's episode?
Oh boy. Okay. It
felt white.
It was real white, but I will appreciate some strategically placed people of color because they made an appearance in that restaurant. Okay. So in the cold open, we have, I think, the bulk, like they really front loaded people of color. In the cold open, we've got a black man and a black woman talking at the back wall by Sam's office, a black woman in blue who passed behind Carla, a black man by the jukebox, a black woman behind Norm's. What's Norm's dad's name?
Oh, I'm blanking. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know.
Yep.
You know. A black man who came down from the piano and passed behind Carla. I'm thinking of collard greens right now. And a black man in a blazer by the jukebox. In scene 2, we've got 2 repeat extras, but a black man in beige who enters from the pool hall and an Asian woman who enters with a friend, but you can't quite see her because she's kind of doing this weird thing with her nose. And then in scene 2 at the cafe, and scene 3, I'm going to pool them together, essentially. A black man and woman at the table with Dr. Fisher, the actual MD in the house, and a man of color who is sitting with an Asian woman. So I'm not sure of his ethnicity, so we call him a man of color, a spicy ethnicity person. And then all the repeats, including an Asian woman who was in the seated waiting area out front. So all in all, I believe that is 13 people of color.
All right. All right, that's our representation for the week.
Mhm.
Any
At
other
least,
thoughts on
at
this
least
episode?
I guess I'm glad to hear that the cafe is discriminating purely on the basis of class
Yes.
and income, but
Yes.
not on skin color.
You got
It's
to start
something.
somewhere.
It's something. All right. Other general thoughts on this week's episode?
Um, okay. I know we were saying fast food isn't exactly romantic, but have you guys heard about this story that blew up in the Boston Globe at one point? Before Elon destroyed it, or at least there's a good rallying cry. But what really blew up on Black Twitter like 2 or 3 months ago, it was definitely in the summer, I think August, was this woman who was dating online and had been dealing with this guy who stood her up twice already, who she met on Hinge, until she was like, oh, if you're gonna cancel plans again, don't call back. But he managed to convince her to meet with him in the parking lot of a Popeyes.
Oh, I remember hearing about this. Yes.
Yeah. And they talked for so long, and he went across the way to KFC to get some chicken to bring back. I don't know if she ate or not, but he ate. And then just 6 months later, they got married, and he moved into her house. So we can't rule out fast food.
Man, in a parking lot.
Listen. I have many feelings about all of it. I hope she's well. I hope she's well.
I love that chicken from Popeyes.
My son tried Popeyes for the first time and was not a fan.
Oh,
please don't tell Black Twitter.
No. He won't get canceled. It's okay. He gets a pass. It's fine.
I was really shocked. Like, I was legitimately excited for him to try Popeyes for the first time.
Which location did you go? Okay, you know what? We won't put them on blast.
No, we were on a road trip.
Okay.
And we stopped at a place with, so it was somewhere, I think in New York. Like, I think it was when we went to Cooperstown. And we stopped along the way, and we were charging up, and they got Popeyes. And I was like, yeah, tell me what you think of it. Because I had to go and get my shitty gluten-free food. And I wanted them to get good stuff.
Yeah.
So I was like eating my gluten-free bologna sandwiches in the car. And they came back, and he was like carrying Burger King with him. And like Jen was carrying a suspiciously large bag of Popeyes.
Damn.
What happened? It's like, yeah, he was not a fan.
Damn.
I know.
Was it New York State or New York City?
New York State.
Okay.
So
okay.
Yeah.
I
don't know, how much does quality vary from one Popeyes to the next?
It can vary. Vary. I will say this is not like the best advice, but the more likely the health code violations, the better tasting it tends to be.
I saw the greatest video about how to find the best restaurant. And it was very much, it kind of focused on Chinese food places.
Yeah.
But they were like, what you want to look for is 3.5 stars.
Ooh, yeah.
That's what you want. You don't want too much stars. And I'm remembering it wrong. I remember like Jen showed it to me. And yeah, she's like, yes, this is how you find the best Chinese food restaurant specifically. You don't want one that is 5 stars because they're focusing on the service and not enough on the food. And it's like, these food critics jumped in and said, yes, absolutely. The best places are the places where you go and you start to order and they tell you that you're wrong and they bring you out other food. Mm-hmm. That's where you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you ever see that 3.5 star review and you see a review where you went, they would not give me what I wanted and the place was crowded and they didn't pay that much attention to me. He's like, that's where you want to go.
That's the one.
That's the best food. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I don't want to say any more about it because it's a really great thing. And if you search online for a 3.5 star video like about restaurants, it's going to come up very quickly. You'll find it. It's very fun. Very fun.
No, I love that.
So whenever you're looking, look 3.5 stars. Yeah, you don't the A in the window almost makes you go like, they're losing some flavor.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I don't want to encourage people to go get salmonella, but I'm just saying if the place
We didn't say
like,
D.
yeah.
You want a solid B.
Yeah, exactly. Solid
You want
B.
a B. Yeah, you want them. You want to know that they at least fought with the health inspector, because if you clean the grill too much, you lose some taste.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. All right.
I'm glad we come to that consensus.
Yeah. So yeah, young Dr. Weinstein, we're putting you in the books. You did nothing wrong, but you didn't do enough right.
I appreciated Norm's Route 1 shout out. I feel like after the horror that was Wooster a couple weeks ago, Route 1 was correctly identified as a place where you could get a cheap meal.
Yeah.
Yes. That is where a restaurant called Eat would be.
Yep.
Absolutely. Good call on Route 1.
That's
good call on Route
Boston
1.
moment, yeah.
Yeah.
That's very much a good Boston moment, yeah. And it does always bring me back, though, to the idea of why are all these people driving to this place with no parking? They're all taking their cars to this place right next to, like, Boston Common. What are we doing? Especially Sam, who lives, like, from the apartments that we've seen, he does not live far. Why is he driving a Corvette to this place every day?
Oh, we know why.
Yeah. True. I think I always wonder, though, why Norm is at this place with his car. And obviously it's different in 2022, but even in 86, I feel like he would have known you're never sober enough to drive home from this place.
Yeah. Norm.
Yeah, this is like this series really kind of like, I feel like straddles the era of the designated driver. Like that's going to be a thing soon, but it is not currently.
Is it not?
I remember that those conversations happening around like 88, 90 maybe.
Okay.
All right. We're putting you in the books, young Dr. Weinstein. Thanks for what you gave us. It wasn't a lot, but you gave what you had. There you go. All right. We have any shows to plug this week, kids?
Oh, yeah. Dave, do you?
Yeah, I'll be appearing in The Humans at the Wilbury Group. Tickets available at www.thewilburygroup.org.
Very
Yeah.
nice. Ms. Kavanaugh?
Some stand-up and sketch happening Sunday. Sunday, Alexa, what WTF at the Rockwell at 2 p.m. for some sketch review. 7 p.m. at the Lyric Stage, cracking up with Dr. Chris. Emily Raskowski will be headlining that. And the 9th, is that a Saturday? December 9th. I'll replug it again. Suzy at the Green Room in Somerville. Good times.
Very nice. Very nice. I, of course, have nothing.
But it feels good.
Yeah, I'm not missing it. Not missing it.
It feels good.
Like, it feels weird how much I'm not missing it.
Embrace it. Embrace the weird of it all.
Yeah. Enjoy your sabbatical.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah. So I'm just like, all right, I'm here.
It's all good.
I'm just hanging. This is what I do. That's what I used to do.
It's good hang. It's good hang.
It's a good hang. It's a good hang. All right. So those are the fun things we've got coming up. Until then, until we are back next week with Knights of the Scimitar, I don't know. We might jump ahead and we might squeeze a couple of episodes in together because I'm not sure these all deserve their own hour. I'm gonna review. We may jump ahead. We're not gonna skip anything, but we might condense. May combine. Although I think we're only a week from the Thanksgiving Orphan, so we probably won't be able to do that. If we were going to combine, we probably should have combined this week with the Knights of the Scimitar, but we'll see.
Thanksgiving Orphans is maybe my favorite episode of all time.
Yeah, classic episode. Very excited about that. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, Thanksgiving Orphans is great.
We'll get through the nights to savor the Thanksgiving episode. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
Let me review how bad Knights of the Scimitar is. If it's really bad, it might end up just being like a header to the episode on Thanksgiving Orphan. So we'll see. It may not get its own episode.
Fair enough.
Because
Fair
life's too short. I'm going to be dead soon. I'm not sure how much I owe Knights of the Scimitar. I'm just saying.
You got to start reading Boomtown. You got things to do.
I got shit to accomplish. I have shows not to get to.
This is just a roundabout way of plugging our other sponsor, Casper Caskets.
They come in a similar shrink-wrapped plastic.
Yeah.
And then they expand. Don't worry about the smell. You won't be able to smell it anyway.
Oh, boy. Memory unwind. I love it.
On that happy note, I'm Mike. That's Dave. That's Tookie. We'll be back. We'll miss you. Love you. Bye.